everyone. Welcome to the HOWMstream. That is Hang Out with Musicians stream. Welcome home. I'm Ben Brown. The purpose of these streams are to equip musicians and to solve problems. Today, I'm joined with Dolf Guardiola. Say hello, Dolf.
Hello, Dolf.
Okay, I'm very good.
Yeah, that was a dumb joke. Sorry.
It's quite all right. Let's see.
Hello, Ben.
Hello, Ben.
Hi, Ben.
I can do.
That's you.
I should probably just do the same. Yeah. I am just like taking a beat to check the stream health. But thanks for joining me today, Dolf. This is
Yeah, man.
This is a great treat. Always with these streams, there can be technical difficulties and like little interruptions, and that's okay.
Sure.
We'll just roll with the punches, and I think you'll be very good at that.
Okay. Yeah. Just tell me what you need me to do or not do.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. We're rolling. Maybe not in like all the perfect places, but here we are.
Okay.
So I know. Let me just like lay the setting. You know, I already kind of said the purpose of these streams. I don't think that you're necessarily going to have technical problems, or not necessarily trying to equip you, but you do have a lot of skills that like does equip musicians. Like you work for a college that I went to, fantastic college, South Plains College, that does exactly that. Like help equip musicians, and currently you're trying to go through the problem of how do you keep doing that? How do you keep doing that well? Servicing, equipping musicians as well as audio engineer students to like, as in this current scenario. So I figured, I know that you guys at South Plains are like some of the smartest people in the world, and that you're probably you're going to be solving this problem in like the best way. And so I want to hear, I kind of want to hear the inside baseball from you guys.
Well, with the current situation, the problem is that we can't meet in person, right, with students. So we're having to do remote teaching or remote learning, as they call it, and it's really tough because as far as on the audio engineering, the sound tech side of things, that's kind of our claim to fame at South Plains College, is how much hands-on experience the students get with the equipment, with the recording consoles, the control surfaces, the outboard preamps and processors and that kind of stuff. And now we can't do that. So that's the thing that brings students to us. And now we're having to finish a semester without being able to do that for the students. So, for example, after spring break, my audio engineering 2 class was going to record a full band project. They split up into teams and go into the studio and record a band. They have to interact obviously with musicians, and then they have to set up headphone mixes and all the stuff that you do in a recording studio. Well, you can't do that at home, right?
No.
Unless you have a studio and you also have a band that comes over and et cetera, et cetera. So what do we do? Well, the best thing I could come up, initially I was like, well, we've got, we're a Pro Tools certification center. So we kind of were like, well, we can at least go through the Pro Tools books, and I can assign some reading assignments, and I've got one of the other textbooks, same thing. I can just have them, hey, go read this, go answer these questions, find the answers to these questions. But, that's not really the spirit of our class. It's like, they don't come to SPC to, read out of a book. They come to use our equipment, to use equipment they couldn't afford themselves, and and so that I can direct them and lead them and give them tips and showed them tricks, as they say, or
Uh-huh.
techniques. Really, I guess is a better word of how to interact. Not only how to use the equipment, but also how to interact with musicians as well, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, um, so after the first day of meeting with my classes via Zoom,
Okay, you've done this
I
already. The
yeah, so I was finally the second day I was talking to my audio 2 class, and I said, "You know what? Um, let's just collaborate on a song because this is what the technology that we're having to use now.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is what it'll allow us to do, right?
yeah.
And we're still producing music,
Okay.
but everyone is in their own
Yeah.
house.
Their
Some of them
own
are in different cities, obviously.
space studio. Yeah, because where you
Yeah.
are is
So
pretty expansive,
yeah.
city wise.
So
Huh.
so anyway.
Man, right
So
on.
I
Yeah, I definitely like to dig into that. And I think we'll probably circle around that as we talk.
okay.
Um, right now, I kind of want to like
Yeah.
take a moment to like. Usually, when we do these, we have like this like deep breath kind of moment where we like
Yeah.
like get into it. Yeah, yeah. It's that's like a part of the podcast, the
Oh, I got
homecast.
you.
Yeah. So it's like just like taking a moment to just kind of take a deep breath and then be in the space where it's like, okay, it's like we're here. We're gonna just kind of settle into it and start. Uh, yeah,
Right on.
be in the space together. So yeah, I'm gonna encourage that. And anybody listening. So yeah, deep breath.
So be present
Be present. Yes,
is what
nice.
you're telling me.
Yes, here's gonna be the moment and no pressure here. So
Yep. For me, that usually means I take my phone out of my pocket and I put it somewhere where I can't see it or hear it.
yeah, do you have a is that like a daily habit or just when you
Well, in the studio for sure. Like anytime
okay?
that I really need to focus on something, I have to like remove because even the phone in my pocket, right? If it vibrates, then it's like pulling me back over
Mm-hmm.
to something else. It's distracting me, you know.
Yeah, to like shallow
So
thinking
so I like
land.
to
Yeah.
yeah, I just like to take it out of my pocket and just that way I don't feel it, no matter what it does.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
And I just kind of put it somewhere else. It's really hard these days, I think.
Yeah.
Not for me, but definitely for younger people. The phone, they're so used to having the phone attached to their
It
body,
it really feels like
you know.
in a yeah, it feels like an extension of identity. I think you can make like a
Mhm.
really good case that like your phone is like a part of you, just like a tool
Yeah,
is.
sure, yeah.
But like, yeah,
But
can
yeah,
I?
I like to
Oh,
I take the phone out and then
uh,
I just kind of um yeah, just go, okay, I'm here for the thing that I'm here for, you know.
yeah, heck yeah,
So then do that. Like even when I'm teaching class, I take it out of my pocket, put it somewhere on my desk or somewhere else or on a table, and then just talk about the topic at hand. So
yeah, heck yeah. Let's do that.
yeah.
It's like
Okay.
I don't think I can totally get rid of my phone because I'm watching chat, but maybe I should.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there like feedback going on while we're talking? Like, are
Um,
people
no, not yet.
able
There
to?
might be, but
Okay.
people could.
I mean, are they able to?
I think so. What I think has happened is I think I've linked to a spot that has not. It's not like so obvious that it's like that it's playing. So you kind of have to like click around and get from where I linked to my page, and then you can like
Ah.
click on it. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
that didn't work out as planned, but that's okay. It's quite all right. This is all about being flexible and adaptable, um, and
Sure.
now it's about talking about the thing at hand. I like to in the podcasts. So we talk to musicians. Like the idea is to have an hour of like calm, good time to be with musicians so that people can feel like they got to spend time with those musicians. And I think that's really important if you're going to like ask for support or something. Like if you're asking for PayPal or like like a tip, or if you're asking for Patreon, it's like people want to
Right.
know
Yeah.
how people are. And so the way that we kind of structure that is this will kind of be a hybrid, I guess, between the stream and an interview, because I think you're like very interesting, Dolph. And I usually structure things as past, present, future, um, just to kind of give us a general
Okay.
structure. And so, yeah, I kind of want to hear your background for back in the time when there was no phones and you like first started a relationship with music.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Relationship with music goes back to like early childhood, I guess, for me.
Okay.
The stories that my parents tell are that when I was a baby, a toddler, I would I would not I would not go to sleep at night until they played music and they actually held me and danced. And
Okay.
so while they kind of danced around the room with me listening to music, I would then fall asleep. So they were like, so my parents were like, "Yeah, you always
Wow.
needed music, to
It's like calm
I guess
down.
to sleep, to
Oh
calm
man.
down." Yeah,
But I
and
live
then
with I live with my niece and nephew, and they're very like musical, and like they have a hard time getting to sleep. This would be really painful. This would be a very painful thing to have to do
oh
every
yeah,
night.
yeah. I'm sure my parents were. It was not a cute thing at the time.
No.
I'm sure it was a chore. So. But then as it progressed, as I got a little bit older, into toddler and actually running around and the other story that
Hmm.
my parents would tell was that I would listen to music like my dad would be listening to his records, and that I was always asking them, what makes that sound, and they would like, well, what sound are you hearing? And so they said that I would try to mimic the sound with my voice, with my mouth, and so I'd hear
Okay.
something and they'd be, I don't know what I would say. And they were like, oh, okay. And then they'd figure out, oh, you're talking about, an accordion. Cause my dad listened to a lot of Tejano Norteño music.
Okay.
And they're like, oh, and they would go, well, I think you're talking about the accordion. And I
Okay.
was
Yeah,
like,
you'd be
okay, and I would, and so,
like, yeah.
yeah. So I wanted to know what you called the things that
Okay.
made the sounds.
Ooh,
So
that's a good audio engineer question.
yeah, it was like I didn't, it's one of those things where now looking back, I go, oh, I was already from the get go. I just was intrigued by sound and what made sounds and why different things made different sounds. You know what I mean? And then how you put those sounds together and make
Yeah.
something as cool as music.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, yeah.
that's quite a feat for humanity when you think about it. That
Hmm.
we've we've created. Starting with acoustic instruments, but now we have more than just acoustic instruments, and how
Oh.
we
Oh yeah.
get them to generate sounds.
Hmm.
And we've developed a common sound language for instruments, if you will, right?
Yeah, that no,
And
it's
then
wild to have just 12 notes and like
yeah,
it's so
and
adopted
then
having notation, having chords
yeah,
like
and then
yeah.
yeah, and then imagine you convince another human being to go, okay, with your thing, I need you to make these sounds.
Yeah.
And when I
Oh
make my
man.
sounds and you make your sounds, then there's going to be a third thing that
That'd be
happens, and
nice.
everyone's going to hear that and they're going to either like it or not like it, right?
Man.
And then you decide, hey, let's get two more people or however many more people, and let's have them make sounds with their little wooden box or whatever it is
Hmm.
they have,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
with strings or reeds or valves or
Yeah. I just think of drum
animal
circles, I guess.
skins.
Yeah, drum circles, and
Yeah,
you have like the talking drum, and then you move on from
yeah,
there.
yeah. It's quite a feat. It's
Huh.
like it's when you start to think, what exactly are we doing when we're playing with other people, when we're playing music,
Yeah, I don't know.
so. But anyway, so yeah, as a kid, that's kind of where my love for music started. And then eventually, when I got a little bit older, 6 or 7 years old, um,
Hmm.
my dad finally gave me permission to change the radio station on his
Okay.
stereo in the house. So he listened to a lot of obviously Mexican music, so Spanish stations,
Okay.
right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I had no problem with that, but because I didn't know any better, I didn't
Yeah, well, you
know.
don't
I mean,
know. Yeah, you don't know
yeah,
until you know
there's no.
things.
That's the
Like,
cool thing about
you,
children; they don't have prejudices or biases,
yeah,
So
yeah, they accept things as they are because that's
yeah,
how their world is.
so
Hmm.
once he allowed me to change the
Yeah. Did
radio
you find
dial, I
pop
went
music?
hunting for other music, and found the local radio station that was playing the hits of the day, So
Okay.
so we're talking about late 70s, right? Late
Whoa. Okay.
1970s.
So
So
the best time for music, I think.
yeah, right. It was right at the kind of the
Songs in the Key of Life, Stevie
yes,
Wonder.
yeah,
Oh man,
yeah,
I can't
yeah,
imagine. I can't imagine a world where there is one album and every radio station you go to is playing that album, and everybody knows it, and like it's completely
yeah.
pervasive. Like that seems like impossible now. Like everything is so fragmented, and it's like yes, Beyonce's big, yes, Kanye's big, but I don't think it's the same thing as like
Yeah,
the like that kind of moment. Uh,
yeah. Well, think about it. It's like that was the only way we heard music was the radio.
mm, mm,
That was still 70s. That's pre MTV,
okay, yeah.
and
Oh wow.
obviously way, way, way before the internet. So there was no streaming or not even Napster or anything like that. That's
Napster. Oh yes.
so
Yeah.
we only had radio stations. So there was in this area, the Texas Panhandle area,
Yeah.
there was a radio station that played the hits. There were a couple of country music stations, of course, because that was a lot more popular than pop music. There
Hmm.
were
Yeah. In
no
Texas.
black music stations, so
Okay.
no
No
R
R
and
and B.
B
Yeah.
or anything like that. And then the
That's
the
sad.
the sole beacon of um, portal to the rest of the world's music was Texas Tech's the university here in Lubbock.
Yeah.
Their radio station, of course, they played college radio, so
Okay.
you know, you would hear international music, I guess you could say. You would hear, British stuff,
Interesting.
or,
Yeah. That
you would
was
hear things that aren't mainstream,
when I lived
you know.
in Austin, that was my favorite thing. Like I'm not a radio person, but I would totally put on the student radio from UT. It's like that was just like fun. It's so random. And sometimes it's like not
Yeah.
that great of music, or it's like so deep electronica that it's just like beeps and boops and like ocean waves for half an hour.
Yeah.
And it's like it's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
much fun. It's like I love how like what a lottery it is.
Yes. Yeah. It was a potpourri, you call it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the college radio stations, the unsung heroes, back in the
Okay.
day of bringing us music that the locals would never go and look for on their own.
Yeah. Is that how you could get exposed to like punk things that are happening at
Yeah.
AGBG's in New York?
Well, Bee Gees would be disco back in that time era, so
BG's.
they were
Yeah.
definitely on the radio.
I guess maybe I'm
So
thinking like
disco was,
Ramones or something. Is that?
yeah, Ramones would not be on the radio, so you would probably hear those on the college radio station. Yeah.
Oh man, what a different.
Yep.
It's such a time. Like I, hmm, I think now is really tough with music. Actually, I wanted to ask you this question. I'll follow it after this. So I think like
Yeah.
now it's tough having all of the options. there was once that I had a friend who had taken an Xbox video game console, and he had modded it and put on all of the games that you like up to that point, nearly like all of like the Nintendo games and all of the old Xbox games, and it was all in one place.
Yeah.
And I found like playing that was like it made a whole lot of discontent because every game that you started, any kind of frustration, it was like, well, I'll just try the next game. Like you hit any kind of wall or any kind of like, it's like I don't think I like this. You just go to the next one, and you end up having like no depth with anything, and you feel like there's so many things out there that if there's like a perfect thing for you to be doing, and if you don't find that thing, you're missing out. Anyway, like
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
options
Yeah.
options kind of like breed discontent. And I think in the world of music, like we have a whole lot of that right now. Like there's just so many options, and it's kind of tough. So the question was, how do you currently consume music, Dolph?
That's a great question. I actually, you know, teaching at a college where you have lots of musicians,
Hmm.
lots of young, fresh out of high school musicians. A lot of times these days now, they recommend things to me.
Okay.
They'll say, they'll be talking about a certain artist or band or whatever, and a lot of times they'll tell me like, hey, have you heard blah blah blah's song or so and so's record or whatever, and I'm like, no, and I'll you make a mental note or whatever, and I honestly, I'm I'm probably part of the problem. I just
Okay.
go and have a Spotify account, so
Yeah.
I go listen to music on Spotify.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
mean,
so sometimes YouTube,
hop in. Yeah.
YouTube's I think is also
I've discovered
I think
some things I've loved on YouTube. Uh, that's more
yeah,
recent.
YouTube and Spotify. Those are kind of the thing. I don't do Apple Music. I know a lot of people do Apple
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Music, but I don't have. I feel like I've already kind of sold part of my soul to Apple as it is, so I
Yeah.
try to kind of try to not increase that percentage. So yeah, I'm a Spotify subscriber, and like I said, between that and YouTube, and really that's how I hear about new music. I also have every year I do a Grammy party at my house, and
Okay.
so
Grammy
a
party.
select few friends come over, and I print out ballots for the different categories, and they all kind of everybody guesses, and then we watch the Grammys, and whoever gets the most correct guesses wins what I call the Dolph Grammy. And they get to take it home for a year, and then you bring it back the next year, and so the
Like a
point being that
Dundee, but
sometimes I
Dolphy.
discover music watching the stupid Grammys. It's like watching that and go, oh, it's like, oh, that's a really good, especially when they perform. I'm a little more old school, so I kind of like it when I get to see a musician perform. So then I can go, okay, they're legit. They're not just a complete studio fabrication. So
Right. Yeah. Things can.
anyway, but that's kind of how I consume music. Other than that, I have way back in the early 2000s, Apple made this little device called an iPod. I don't know if you remember those.
I
And
yes, I remember. I remember iPods.
do you
Um,
remember iPods?
I
Yeah.
do remember
No one knows
iPods.
what an iPod is
I,
now, but I am kidding, of course. So,
no,
but
yeah, yeah,
anyway.
yeah. Sorry. I think the stream might be having some interruptions, and so
Oh,
I'm
oh.
but I don't think I have any kind of solution for it because live streaming's tough, you know. It's not obvious. Now we're back in the live now, and Kanoko is also here. Shout out to Kanoko. So we left off at you were jokingly saying that nobody remembers iPods because they're a relic of the past.
Yeah, I was just saying that I think the point you were at, you had asked, how do I consume music? And, besides Spotify and YouTube, that I do have my iPod that has all my music I've purchased and collected over the years, or most of it, not all of it. But so I do occasionally listen. I want to hear certain songs or certain albums specifically, and
Okay. So
I
your
usually will listen.
collection that you've like picked
Yeah,
has
so I'll
become the
listen to
thing.
my iPod on my drive to work, and sometimes I listen to local radio. I'm an old guy now, so I listen to the oldies station,
Okay.
which is
Okay.
weird because '80s
Wh-
music is now oldies. So
Whoa. Okay.
yeah,
I
so there
wonder
you
how they
go.
make the decision
Even
to
early '90s stuff is considered that.
really.
But when you think about it, that was music, 30 years ago. So or 40 years ago. So that's a long time.
Oh, gosh. I wonder how they decide how to upcycle it, or when the decade above becomes the old decade.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's
I'm
relegation.
gonna guess
It's
probably
it's probably elevation.
because I just remember in the '80s, 50s music was oldies,
Okay. I
and
remember
then
listening to 50s music on the
s-
radio.
so I think if it's 30 years old, then it's considered oldies. So now 50s music is what, 70 years old, 60 years old. So I don't even know what they call that anymore. I don't know what 50s.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't think there's
Classic?
a beyond
Classical?
oldies.
Uh,
It was interesting because classic rock in the '90s was the '70s stuff, '70s and '60s. So if it was 20 or 25 years old, then it was classic rock. If it was older than that, it was oldies. So now '80s music is oldies.
I enjoyed our conversation yesterday. Um,
Yeah,
I thought that was excellent. I kind of wish I guess it might be too much for my
we had
computer
recorded
to
that.
have recorded. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or to record this. I live with a dozen people in a large estate. Um, some of those like
Really?
four of them are kids, but there are eight adults, and so we've made the smart decision of having um, a
So you live in a commune?
very, very nearly. I think if we all
Yeah.
believe the same thing, it would be a commune, but we don't.
If you all what?
If we all believe the same thing, it would be a
Oh,
commune.
oh, oh,
But
okay.
it's
You have
obvious that
different beliefs.
yeah, it's obvious at this point that we don't have all the same beliefs because we all handle this current scenario. We all handle it very different.
Ah, so there's no Kool-Aid involved.
There is no Kool-Aid. No, no, there could be more. There could be more
That's
of
good.
that. Minutes, Dolph, because
Sure.
I think we can get into some really good stuff. I've enjoyed hearing your early relationship to music. Um, I kind of want to fast forward to the current moment. We were talking about consuming music before too, um,
Right.
and I guess it revolves, I guess, around like the helpful topic that I think is, you're around musicians and you're around audio engineers, like, or students of these things that want to, you know, are bright eyed, I'd imagine, and like have like like hopeful for the future. I don't know why I brought that up,
Bright-eyed
but
and bushy-tailed.
bushy tailed, yeah, yeah. What do you when you see them and you like what do you how do you want them to operate in the world that you're sending them out to? I'm sure you think about this. How you want the student to leave South Plains College, fantastic college, South Plains College. How do you want them to uh, operate in the world, or like I don't know, or equip them, or perhaps I'm not asking a great question. Um,
How do I want to prepare them?
Yeah, or let's see. Let me try to rephrase it.
Okay.
Um, like you see a new audio engineer or a new musician. How do you like when you see them? Like how do you like what kind of how do you want them to operate to find success after they leave South Plains? Um,
Um, well, honestly, there's really on the musician side of things, there's really two. For me, I think there's two categories of students, two
okay,
categories of that we get, and I think that are trying to achieve something. And number one, there's the classic, what I call just an artist, someone who is creating their own music.
okay,
So they're writing or they're composing or both, right? And so there's that student, that
the
that class of
artist.
student where they're usually, they're writing their own songs, they're performing their own
Okay,
songs. That's type one
okay,
or
okay.
whatever, one of them. The other is someone who is not a writer. They're just a musician. They just want to play and they
Okay.
want to make a living playing.
Okay. The
So,
player.
which is perfect because the songwriter type needs a band, right?
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And so when they connect, so when the songwriter then gets there and they make friends with people who are just musicians,
Okay.
and I don't mean just musicians is like anything less, but
Oh.
but they're not looking to write songs. They're looking to play for someone who writes songs.
Okay.
So then we have a perfect situation, right? Because then I have a songwriter, singer songwriter, or they play guitar and write and sing, and now they need to put a band together. So perfect, right? So we put
Okay.
these people
Yeah. Yeah.
together,
Yeah. Yeah.
and,
Symbiotic.
and it
Like they're.
and I mean, you went there, so
Hmm.
they get in ensembles, so
Yeah.
you get to see which musicians are good,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know, and
Who shows up on
and if you're a
time?
smart singer
Who
songwriter,
learns fast?
you start recruiting those good ones, right?
Okay.
So it's a nice place to kind of go, okay, everyone brought their skills, and so and their talents, and now let's construct some bands or some ensembles, right, out of this. So
Okay.
so those are two different goals, but
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
symbiotic, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
They help each other,
So you're saying
right?
that you have
So we've got
the
we've
the
got the singer
artist.
songwriter, the
Yeah.
writer, and then we've got the musicians. So we
Okay.
put them together, and then my students, the sound tech students, then can record them.
Okay. Yes.
So
Yeah.
if they
Yeah.
want to record
Yeah.
a couple of songs, so that they have something to put on streaming
Man.
services like Spotify or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
then
how do you
they
guys
can
yeah,
they can do that.
how does South Plains handle the recording or the passing of money on that like they did there was a student that booked recording time and then there's another student that it's their original music so now it's going up on their Spotify and it gets plays or Bandcamp and it gets bought.
It's like just like the regular music business. The Whoever wrote the song, obviously, the song belongs to them, right?
Okay.
And the South Plains College does not own the rights to anyone's original music,
Okay.
and it's if a student recruits other students to play and to record, then and it's that student's song or that student's band or whatever, and they put it up on Spotify or whatever to make music, to make money, that's totally fine. I mean, that's what we're preparing them to do, right? That's what we're
Okay.
we're
Yeah,
we're
right. Yeah, that'd be what a yeah, what a great thing to like already have done. It's like
Yeah.
taking
So, that's one of the reasons why students come to the college, of course, is so they can not just get better at their skills, but like I said, the audio students, a lot of times they will take classes so that they can get studio time, and so they
Hmm.
can record
Yeah.
with professional
Yeah.
quality,
Yeah, that
you
stuff is
know,
awesome.
equipment.
I miss that
They
stuff.
can,
Dolph, I miss South Plains. Everything you're
yeah,
describing, that like the totally different minded people, but like
yes,
shared goals, and like different goals and
yeah,
different what they love and passions about, just like coming together to, it's like all in a package and together to make the thing, because that's what you have to have. Like you can't.
right, yeah, yeah, yeah. And we kind of we started that a few years ago, where we started what we call the creative arts experience,
Okay.
where we have songwriting students. There's a songwriting class, and they would submit songs, and there was a
Okay. Yeah.
when it
I
started,
did
then there
songwriting.
was like a group of faculty. There was like a faculty panel that would then um, view the song. We'd listen to lyrics, we'd listen to the melody and the music and the chord structure, and then we'd give feedback. If we thought something was really good, we would say, "Hey, I think this is really good. Maybe if we just change this and that," and then we would produce that song. So a faculty, a music faculty uh, person would then
Okay.
produce the song for the student, and then
Whoa.
we would use student musicians. Sometimes we'd use faculty musicians, but student musicians preferably. And then the audio engineering, the studio students would record it, right, and mix
Yeah.
it. And then one of us on the sound tech, on the audio side, would advise the engineering student to make sure that it got recorded well and it gets mixed
Okay.
well.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And then we collect, we would do so many of those, and however many submissions we got, over the 2 semesters. Then in the spring we would try to release a CD, an album
Okay.
of
Yeah.
those songs,
Like a South Plains Creative Arts
and
album.
yeah, and any money we made on that,
Yeah.
when we selling them, just goes into a scholarship fund. So,
Nice. Oh man.
now we also, at the same time, the whoever song it was that got produced, we also said we do not have exclusive rights to that song. Yes, we are going to make money and we're going to pull off our recording, but if you want to take that song that's already produced and recorded
Mhm.
and you want to put it on your album, or you want to release it on your own, then you can. So it's not like
Man, that's so
we don't want to
good.
take advantage of students.
Yeah.
That's not what we're there for. We're there just to facilitate and get them to
Yeah.
really just get them to know, hey, here's kind of the process that you need to do. Here's what you need to do to promote yourself.
Oh yeah, that's
Here's how
huge.
design logos or whatever you want to need to do, and here's how you record and produce a single or an EP if you have time. And help them to put that stuff out. So that
Yeah.
when they leave, they know what the process is
Right.
to
Yeah. It's
maintain their goal, their of being in the music business.
yeah. 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 Man,
So
that's so cool.
yeah, that's kind of what we're part of what we do. Now that there's no money in the music business because nobody actually buys
Okay.
music.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good thing to address. But
Yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
record labels used to
Yeah.
do what's called artist development. They would find someone that had potential, and they
Yeah.
would sign them to a 3 record deal,
Hmm.
and they would develop, they would teach this artist, they'd
Hmm.
pair them up with a producer that could mentor them, and over a period of about 3 records, 3 albums, they would develop the artist so that by the time you got to that
Hmm.
second or third album, they're writing some good quality, putting out some good quality music, hopefully
Yeah.
hits.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then, they would renegotiate after those 3 albums and maybe sign up for another 3 album deal or whatever.
Hmm.
Well, that's gone. There's no
Yeah.
music. There's no money. So
Yeah.
record
Yeah.
labels don't do that.
Huh.
So now it's up
Yeah, how's it
to
now?
regional
Okay.
recording studios and producers.
Hmm.
We are now in the artist development business. You know what I mean?
Okay. Okay.
So
Interesting.
now, like,
Huh.
you knew Scott Ferris. Did you know
Yep.
Scott
I
Ferris
know
here
Scott
locally?
Ferris. Yeah,
He
yeah.
has a recording studio here in Lubbock, and he's put out some really successful records. And but that's part of what that's what we do here in these smaller markets is we're helping these artists develop so that they can move on to the next level, whatever that may be, the national level,
Okay.
or
Yeah.
international level or whatever that is. And so South Plains College, I feel like that's kind of part of what we do as well. Now we're not into it for the money as someone would be, someone who owns their own studio. We're in it
Hmm.
just to kind of equip the students, the musicians, the engineers, the
Yeah.
video people, the graphic arts people. We're just trying to equip them so they can be a part of that, so they can go
Hmm.
move on to the
How do
next
you
level in their career path.
Yeah, do you see so I feel like maybe being a sound engineer, audio engineer is actually quite tough in this moment. It's like it's nice in one way because everything you can have a functioning studio with a lot less money than in the past. You don't have to necessarily have like the real estate and like the rooms and the same kind of microphones and
For
equipment
sure.
as
Yes, for
before.
sure.
But at the same time, yeah, it's like very competitive. Like, are you? I don't know. Do you have thoughts about that? Like the new world of audio. So, like before, you saying there was a record label for developing artists, and now that's
Yeah.
gone. I guess I see the
Right.
like the studio where it's. I think it's hard to imagine like broke musicians going up to a lot of studios and asking for like paying out money to make an album. I think like the ones that are like the one that have their careers already going, like already moving forward, that's totally what they're doing. But like all the kind of like people just getting started, like it's not really on their mind. So
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. There are a lot of people that have, their living room studio where they just have a laptop, maybe something to
Mhm.
get their interface and maybe one or two nice microphones, And you know, I tell students all the time, it it doesn't ever really matter. The equipment doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I
because
believe this.
what matters is the quality of your song.
Okay.
The
Quality of
the
the
if
song.
your song is great,
Okay.
people are going to love your song and they're not going to
Interesting.
be disappointed because you didn't use a fancy
Uh-huh.
recording console
Uh-huh.
to record it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean,
I
we
mean,
have
think of
all
all the
those old,
songs you
yep,
love.
all the old
Think of
records
all the
and
songs you love, all your favorite songs,
yeah. They're
and
mostly
did
not
you
ever.
ever,
They're
were
all
you
not
ever,
perfect. So,
yeah, did you ever care how it was recorded?
oh
Not
man.
really.
No. No.
We just loved the song that we loved and we loved it
Yeah.
no matter what.
Oh man.
So,
What a mysterious thing.
yeah.
Fall in love with
Yeah.
a song. I I have this thought. I'll get the Dolph opinion on this. So
Okay.
I think you fall in love with music. It's like all like based off of time. So when you're a teenager, you you're looking for connection and you feel like nobody gets you and like you can't really communicate very well and you can't really understand communication very well. But with music, it's like the perfect time for music because then you play an album like you have like The Strokes or you have Death Cab for Cutie or you have Sufjan Stevens like play, and then you have that like being blasted into your head and your ears, and you realize that you're not alone as a teenager, and so like you realize that people have felt these things before, and so you end up having these like very like feeling like you're sharing the same mental space with these musicians.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
and then I
Yes.
think,
Yeah.
and I think
As a
those,
kid,
yeah,
you're looking for your tribe,
yes,
and you're
yeah,
also looking for your identity.
yeah,
And music, that's the first one of the first things for a lot of people. Not, here's a shocker though, Ben. I've
yeah.
learned
Go
that
ahead.
not everyone is like us.
Not, what do you mean? Oh, you
I've
mean,
learned
oh,
that not
technical engineer
everyone
minded
well,
audio
I've learned that
engineers?
not everyone associates a certain song or music genre or style or band
Hmm.
as part of their as it being important to their growth or
Oh,
to
wow.
their coming of age.
Okay.
There are people out there that are just not music fans.
Wow.
Now, luckily, I think for the most part, I don't most of I would say the majority of my friends are music fans. Like they music did have an impact in their lives,
Yeah. Yeah. It's who
growing
you,
up.
it's who,
But there are a few people out there. It's always a shocker when
uh-huh.
people are like, "Well, who I don't care what music was playing when I was a teenager," and I'm like, "Oh
Wow.
my God, how did you not care?"
Yeah.
I
Isn't that your favorite band now and forever? Like, don't you have a
yeah.
hard time loving
Well,
anything more than your teenage bands that
yeah.
found you? Yeah.
And as part of our identity too, part of our tribe, because when I was a student at SPC back in the mid 90s,
Nice.
I liked rock music and I did not like country music.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
of course, South Plains College in that era was really, really big in bluegrass and country,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and so there was definitely a dividing line between the students that were rock music fans and the country music, and we always felt like the rock music students were the marginalized kind of,
Okay.
because the faculty was there were so many country music ensembles and bluegrass ensembles,
Okay.
we felt a little bit neglected,
Yeah. Yeah.
and a lot
That'd
of
be
that
tough.
looking back now, as an adult, as a faculty member at that same college,
Mm-hmm.
I realize a lot of that is perceived,
Okay.
but
Hmm.
but when I first started working there, I did see some bias amongst the faculty. I mean, they're all human, so nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
like some students better than others.
Yeah.
That's just, and then whatever your
Man.
music you like, if the students are into that music, then that just even, endears you to them
Yeah.
even more, right?
What a harsh
But
reality you just laid out there.
yeah, yeah, so that's just, I mean, we can't help our feelings sometimes,
Yeah.
um,
Man.
but yeah,
I
the
have a, I've,
eventually
yeah.
you get out of that, yeah,
You get,
I try to
hmm.
impart I tell
Yeah.
my
How,
students from the get-go, I said, I know that maybe I know that you love country music a lot. And I tell them, but, you know, realize that there is quite a bit of talent and artistry in jazz music. There's
hmm.
quite a bit of artistry and talent in rap music.
Yeah.
And I tell them, I said, what you need to
Hmm.
learn how to find the good stuff in all the different kinds of music. You don't have to become a
Interesting.
fan of that style of music, but you need to be able to appreciate
Yeah.
good quality songwriting, good quality production,
Hmm.
you know, a
Yeah.
great performance.
Tasteful choices. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
those are
design.
the kind of the three things really, be able to appreciate good talent, even if it's in a style of music that you would never ever ever want to do yourself, but
Yeah.
still,
That's huge.
it's like that. You actually learn. I think you learn a lot from listening to a style of music that you're not a fan of, and then go
Hmm.
listen to what other people think is, the best of that style of music, and
Okay.
try to figure out why. Why do they think this is the best?
Yeah.
You know?
That's such a good challenge. I like that. I like that a lot. I think I'm gonna do that. Listen to something I don't care for. The one of the things that I think of like as I've grown up, um, I think I also realize when you're a teenager, it's almost enough to just say, I like this, I don't like that. And then that's
Right.
like that's enough of a flow state. Like that's interesting enough that it works. You know, it's like, oh, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. And you just like you can move on with that and it's still it's like an enjoyable thing. But I don't think as you get
Right.
older,
Yes.
it's not interest like it doesn't interest you to know what you like and don't like. You need to go like a layer deeper. Like you need to have a little bit more complexity. So I found for me to enjoy an album, it needs to like stimulate other portions of uh, interests that I have. So I find um, implementing kind of like history into listening to music can like really help with enjoying like getting back into it, being interested in it. I find I'm
Yes.
right now
Yep.
I really enjoy paying attention to online careers, like so listening to a band and then going back 4 or 5 years to like their first YouTube videos and then like watching them back up is like it's interesting to me to see how people develop, to see how like success changes how they operate. Um,
Right.
there's
The
this
evolution.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
this great guy. There's a guy named Lewis Cole, and he's I love him because he makes albums, not just songs. So he has an
Yeah.
album that's themed called Time. And if you go back, he has these great videos where he's like talking about how broke he is. He's like, it's like, I'm too scared to check my bank account. I'm too scared to check my bank account. And then fast forward like a couple of years, and he's like, he's got a song called like Money, Money. Um, I won't let it get the best. Bum, bum. He's like, people are offering him money, and he's like, he's like refusing it, and he doesn't want it to like take away his artistry. And so like
Right. Yeah.
watching that career is like that's engaging to me. And so I love these songs because of the context of like how this person is
Yes.
changing.
Yeah. I was gonna say
It's-
the context of the artist's life, what's going on in their life, but also the context of what was going on in the world at that time too. It's
yeah,
really that's
yeah.
what's really fascinating about music, that it is kind of it's almost a form of geology in a way. Like
Hmm.
you're digging into an artist's uh, layers,
Hmm.
time wise. So like the current layer is what's on top, and then like you say, if you start digging and you go backwards in time for them, you're like, oh well, this was going on in their life. They were getting a
Yeah.
divorce,
I
or they were having kids, or like you said, they were broke. And now these records, they're raising
no.
kids and they have money or whatever,
Yeah,
whatever's evolved in their life. And
it adds a lot.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
that's
I kind of think of, you know, I had a really great discussion with another artist. They were talking about um, paintings. Um, but he made it really clear. I like this distinction that every song or every piece of art, you have to like divide it into two pieces. And one of them is the universally good, the thing that is like the structure of it, the form of it, how it's created, maybe the craft of it, and like see what nugget of it is like universal and can be great at any context. And then you got to separate the like context part of it. So it's going to be great because of the context, like what was before, what was after, what was in the world. And so I really think that you could do like a really good deep study in like an album or a song to like say, okay, here's the context. This is what's good about it because of when, and then this is why it's universally good. And then what you can do is you can like update it. You could just totally copy it, but in like more of the like a good way. So like I think it can be an endless artist's job to find things that worked in the past, recognize its universal good and its contextual good, and then pull up the universal good and update the context. And I think you could you could make a career out of doing that. I think maybe that's a little bit of a
Oh,
John
yeah,
Mayer
yeah.
thing.
No, absolutely. No, 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 absolutely. That's no, I've yeah, that's fantastic. I've never heard anyone say that before. And while you were explaining it, it made me, you know what it made me think of?
Yeah.
It made
What?
me think of Pixar movies
Okay.
because they obviously have a formula that works, but they keep updating that formula to make it work
Okay. Yeah.
around different contexts and different ideas. Because you know, I would be, I mean, there are some Pixar movies that aren't as good as their best ones, but they
Yeah.
all seem to be good,
It's
though.
still
You know what I
heads.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Still heads above anyone else.
Yeah,
Like
you
their
know, and
bad ones aren't
if you
that
could
bad.
figure out
Yeah.
that if you could apply that, you know, whatever formula they figured out, you know, we always say formula
Mm.
because you know we want to we like to think that
Or-
they've thoughtfully constructed
Yeah.
it, and I know they have, and we know they have.
It's a Western kind of
Obviously,
thought.
you have to with a movie, but yeah, apply that same concept thought process, what you just described about, you know, what's universally great about it.
Yeah.
You know, why is everyone like this? Why is this good for
Yeah.
everyone? You know, why does
Doing it.
everyone what's the mass appeal?
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I think if a musician, a singer, songwriter, artist, yeah, if they kind of applied, if they would
Yeah.
if they would really
Yeah.
kind of dig in and go, well, this is what do you, you know, you could probably do that with anybody's,
Yeah, yeah,
you
right.
know,
That's what's so
music.
encouraging.
That would be a good
It's like,
exercise and go, okay, here's 5 hits in 5 different genres. You know what I mean?
okay,
And then
yeah,
go,
yeah,
let's try to figure out what's common between them. What is it that you like about all of them, you know?
yeah.
And then yeah, and then go, okay, so now you've got the commonality. Now
Well,
let's
yeah,
evolve it, you know,
yeah.
like you said,
It's
let's
like
update it.
doing a remake well is is not just
Yeah, yeah,
remaking the movie, but like you have to make it matter now. Um,
right.
I think of oh nope, lost it. It's gone.
Your
my
thought went away.
my thought, yeah, it just totally disappeared.
Yeah.
What I like about the thought of this is sometimes music can feel like what you're supposed to do is like reach down into yourself and like and be honest and find your story and what you want to say to the world and then just keep doing that forever. But
Yes.
what I like about this thought is it's like it really can be like an endless job. Like it can become like a life theme to take like something that you like and you know a lot about and re up it, I guess, remake it
Yeah.
and bring it
Yeah. Yeah.
back, and like
Right.
and it's yeah and it's so it's great. It's got that kind of all inclusiveness where you have to also take your awareness of what's happening in the world, like
Right.
how things have
Yeah. Yeah.
changed, and you can actually really say something. You know, it's like I think all of the great
Yeah.
like '90s movies that were basically Shakespeare plays,
Yeah.
and it's like they're not great movies, but like the core of Shakespeare is in them, and they're updated to the time, and so it's like
Yeah.
it
Yeah. Yeah.
connects.
So now that you've brought up Shakespeare,
Okay, yeah.
I let me.
Ring a bell or something. It's like
I want to complain just a tiny bit.
no, please.
I don't like to be negative, but I want to complain because I really like. I'm in the business of encouraging musicians and you know, young people, so I don't want to discourage, but I do want to. I'm going to complain a little bit.
Okay,
And
okay.
one thing I've noticed recently is lyrics.
Hmm.
I
In
feel like
students.
a lot of the a lot of I see this obviously in at the school, you know, with students,
Uh-huh.
but their lyric writing is almost like stream of consciousness, you know,
Okay.
writing. It's
Yeah.
kind of almost like I woke up this morning, I wasn't feeling well, blah blah blah,
Hmm.
you know, and they just kind of are just telling you their day-to-day stuff, or
Hmm.
You know, I don't know. It just
Okay, okay. These would be
my
like
complaint,
self-identified
and I'm
songwriters, right?
okay with that. But my complaint is
Uh-huh.
I feel there's a lack of poetry in lyrics.
Okay.
Like I feel like because in this and my guess, I have not really researched this. So my guess is I feel like kids read less
Hmm.
than they used to. Like I think because we have a phone, we have screens,
Yeah.
you know, people they're not reading the classics. They're reading fewer, you know, they're not reading as much Shakespeare as we did when we were in high school or junior high. They're not
Yeah.
reading classic uh, books, you know, from literature. And you know, there's always, you know, people always complain when I was in school, or like, why do we have to read this stuff from, you know, that's old, you know, nobody
Uh-huh. Yeah.
talks this
Old stuff.
way,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm like, but you know, you get to a certain point and you go, well, it's a shame we don't talk that way
Hmm.
because since we don't talk that way, we don't write that way either. And
Yeah.
if you go read how people wrote, you know, back in Shakespeare's time and
Shakespeare, or
around, you know,
you
the
have,
great literature, the
yeah,
or
John
even
Locke, or uh
if you look at the founding
Jefferson.
fathers,
Yeah,
you know,
that's
look when
yeah.
they wrote letters to each other, you know, look at the language of the Declaration of Independence or anything like that. You know, it's like I don't know. It's just I'm sad that I just feel that my like I said the complaint is I feel like poetry, uh, imagery, you know, is just not as good as it used to be in lyrics, in music lyrics.
Hmm.
And I'm totally cool with someone saying, "Well, you're just an old guy that
Okay,
listens
right.
to old music," and that is a valid that's a valid retort.
Hmm.
Uh, but still, you know, I
Yeah.
say this hoping that if anybody listens to this, any musicians that are writing songs, that when you sit down and write lyrics, you know, don't just be clever, you know,
Hmm.
be colorful, add a little depth,
Interesting.
you know,
I
go.
so
Yes, go ahead.
I was I I was a really slow reader. I was not good at reading. I didn't start reading until after I graduated college. um, like I just got away with as much as I could not reading. But
Right? Yeah, yeah.
more recently, like I've you know, hit the gym or hit the library, and I've been beefing up my reading muscles, and now I feel uh, that I can take on the Lord of the Rings. So I've been reading. You know, I'm like more than halfway through Lord of the Rings, and this used to look like the most daunting like thing I could ever read. Um,
Yes, yeah.
but now it's like I can totally see ending the book and then just starting it over again because the language is just so beautiful. Like the way that
Yes,
it's written
yes.
washes over you in such a nice way.
Yes.
And
Yes,
yeah, and
absolutely.
it's not necessarily,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's,
that's
yeah.
you know, that's what I'm talking about. It's like the language, not the topic, but the language is what is so beautiful. You know, the topic is fantasy, you know, obviously if we're talking about Lord of the Rings,
Mhm.
but and that's what I try to tell people. It's not about latching into the topic, it's latching onto the language,
Mm.
how he's describing things. You
Yeah.
know, let that inspire you as to how you describe things in your music, in your lyrics. You know, let that
Hmm.
bring some of that depth and beauty to your lyrics.
I went I went into a
You know,
deep
don't you know? I
dive.
think a lot of people
Oh,
go.
uh-huh.
I think a lot of students like, well, they just write lyrics the way they talk. You
Okay.
know,
Hmm.
and there's value to that. That's not a bad thing. But I think there's value to also elevating your speech, you know, elevating your language in your music. You know, I don't think I think people will if you do it right, you know, I think people will enjoy that.
Yeah, it's tough. I think, you know, when I think about somebody being a self-identified songwriter, you know, so they wake up in the morning and they write a song. Um, right now, um, So yeah, like I'm hearing you, and I think that you're right. Like I think that you can find a little bit more depth in the lyrics, but at the same time, I also feel like the thing that's going to serve you almost most in the future, in like the way that media is moving in the world now, is the ability to like rapidly create things. Um, so like almost stream of conscious, just like being able to take things and just like iteratively just create, just boom, it's like new song. It's almost done by the end of the day, complete with almost everything in it. Like that's almost how you have to operate. Like you watch these YouTube channels, and they're the ones that do really great are like daily, like or multiple a day videos. It's just like the internet
Oh
is
yeah,
just
yeah.
so hungry
Well,
for content and constant things. It's almost more like being a musician is not like one big album heave, like but like rowing a boat where you just like it's like yep, constantly just releasing little things all the time, and then like an album
oh
every
yeah, I
once in a
think
while.
for sure. Yeah, I think consumption of of content yeah, demands that there be content. you know.
Okay, yes, yeah.
So it's like yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was a question actually I had for you, Ben.
Okay, yeah.
You've interviewed talked to different
Uh-huh.
musicians,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm curious as to how do they feel about, you
Mm,
said, instead of heaving out a big album, is that kind of what do you see as being better, spending money and time and recording 10 or 12 songs for an album and putting it out? Uh, that's model number one. Model
okay.
two is don't do a full album, do an EP. So you only have like 4 or 5 songs out in one push.
Hmm.
Or model three would be, the singles. You put one song out, like you said, today, and then maybe next week you do another one, or you wait a couple of weeks or whatever. Which model have you seen from musicians, and what's popular, basically? What's working? What's your opinion on that? What are your musicians that you interview?
Yeah.
What do they have to say on that?
Hmm. Let's see. I think I'll have to think in specifics. Um, I know a few people who have released singles and then are now ready to release their first LP, long play, um, album. And so that's how they've been operating. Like you make a single and the music video, and then an album coming. Um,
And
that
then drop an
I
album.
guess it's yet to be seen. Yeah, and then drop an album. Um,
Okay,
I
that's kind of the classic model,
mm-hmm.
But like I said, I I hear some people telling artists don't spend money on an album, like just do an EP, get a few things out. And I think the reason they're being advised is for exactly what you said.
Hmm.
Instead of dropping an album and then you wait a year before you do it again,
Yeah,
if you do an EP, you basically are dropping half an album now, and then in a few months you drop the other half of the album, so that
yeah,
you're current in people's minds.
yeah,
You're like, oh, every so often I get it. There's a couple of new songs from so and so, and that's kind of what I've seen lately. Other people in the music business advising
yeah.
artists like, hey, don't do a full
I
album because nobody's buying albums. Do an
right.
EP
Yeah,
because the attention span of your average listener is only 3 or 4 songs,
man.
at
Yeah.
most,
I
so
I think of so I don't know if this is like totally accurate, but like I feel like for like if the advice that I would give is definitely if you don't have any kind of recordings, like get an EP of demos, like get get 4 or 5 songs, and then you're going to need that in place and like have that linked so that when you're asking to book at a festival or a bar, like they just want to click on a link and then listen to 4 songs and make a decision. Like, and they're just going to click through them
right,
all
yeah,
fast.
yeah, yeah,
And so, like,
yep.
if you're wanting, if you're wanting gigs, I that's got to be the first thing, like I yeah, if you're wanting to play, I think if you have a passion for albums, you should definitely like make an album. Like I I don't know. I guess there's less and less people like you and I where like we see that there's an album and it's all cohesive and it's like it actually is put together. It's not just a bunch of
Right.
singles together and they like get excited. Um,
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and so yeah, I don't know. I think it's as different as everybody is different. But I don't think unless you already have a following, I don't think you can just drop an album once a year and like kind of disappear. Maybe once a year. Once a year is pretty rapid.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but you can't
I
like
think.
drop an album and then just kind of hide and then drop an album later again.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
seems
No, I
too
think
infrequent.
I agree with the. We're sitting here thinking it's like, yeah, I don't think. I think if you have an established following, I think an album is a lot safer bet. I think if you're not established,
Hmm.
an album is quite a gamble.
Yeah.
It's quite an investment.
You don't know if you'll get a return on that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
And it's like,
yeah, no,
and,
I
and,
think
and songs are not the product anymore. The songs are the advertisement, and then the live shows and the merchandise is the like product.
yes,
Or
yes.
um,
Yep,
or
that's
yeah,
exactly right.
yeah. Or like I'm encouraged by
Yeah,
this
that's kind of
Patreon too.
that's what we've seen here is
Hmm.
that your recorded music is just to get people to come to your shows,
Yeah. Hmm.
pretty much. Whether they're online or in person.
Shows. I also,
Um,
yeah, I think like a big piece of that too is a altruistic subscription, um, where I really do believe that people want to just hand musicians money, just to have them keep going. Like I don't know. I remember my first reaction when I bought my first album, which was on a cassette.
yeah.
I don't know if that speaks to my age or if it speaks to how behind the times that like Christian rock band was. I think I bought the cassette because it was cheaper. Like the CD was like fancy and new and expensive or something. Um,
Sure, yeah.
um, oh, I lost it. What was I saying? Anyways, so I remember
Yeah.
lamenting because I had bought the seat, the cassette, and then I also had my brother-in-law, soon to be brother-in-law. He had a band, and I remember thinking like I'd listen to the seat, like the album, and I'd listen to other music and be like, man, it's like I wish I could just like give them money. Like I'd love to just like hand them money. It's like as soon as I learned that like most of their money goes to paying off their debt to the record labels, and like if you wanted
Yeah.
to really help them out you need to buy a t-shirt. I like thought
Yeah.
like dang, I just want to like walk up to them and hand them $10. Like that would make me happy. And that was like my first reaction as a fan of musicians,
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
as
yeah,
a
yeah.
kid. So I really think that's people's reactions. And so I fully believe in the idea that people can altruistically give to musicians like monthly. Um,
Yeah, I mean we already pay if anybody subscribes to any kind of streaming platform, whether it's Netflix or Amazon Prime or Disney or whatever, you're basically handing money to, you know, I mean, eventually it gets to the actors, right? Eventually, sort of,
okay. Yeah. Yeah.
not really. But yeah, music is
It's not
even
your
better than
money.
that
Yeah.
because you have the ability to directly give it to the people
Yeah.
who are creating, this art that you are enjoying,
It's true. Yeah.
so
That's so nice.
yeah, so I mean, if you're willing to pay, whatever it is, $10 to Netflix every month, you know, go ahead and pay $10 to your favorite musician every month.
Yeah. Just
It's like,
make a budget. If you have like $35 to spend on art, it's like just
yeah,
divide that
yeah,
amongst the
yeah,
people that you love. Like that's like just just pop it in there. It's like,
Yeah.
be direct about it.
Yeah.
I think that if you are a
Yeah.
musician,
I think
if you are a
I think
musician
it's
and
fantastic. I think
yeah,
that totally makes
totally.
sense. I think,
I think that there's one thing that you have to give as a musician in that scenario, and that is you have to be you got to make yourself available. I'm terrible at social
yes.
media, but
Yeah.
it's like in some kind
Yeah.
of fashion, like voice or posts or something. Like people need to still see you. You need to be available. Like you can't just be a blank page that like
Right. 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 You
people
can't
just
just be an
sink money
entity
into.
out there. Yeah.
No,
You've
yeah,
got to be a fellow human, a fellow person that
yeah,
they can see and occasionally interact with if possible.
yeah, yeah. Have that
Yeah.
personality out there.
Yep.
Um, this has been really great, Dolph. Um, I think
Yes.
I think maybe we can like round the corner and like end on like a final topic. You can kind of choose where we want to go, but I think like let's kind of like look towards the future. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, do you have big goals for yourself right
Oh
now?
man.
Like,
Um.
do you have a direction, or are you kind of have you made it? Have you made it, Dolph?
um. I guess I have dreams. Yes, still.
Okay, good, good.
One of my dreams for the longest time has still been to win a Grammy for
Yeah,
uh, for engineering or producing or both. An
okay,
album or something of that sort.
yeah.
Um, I'm probably less. I guess I'm less driven towards that now, probably than I was maybe 5 years ago for whatever reason. I don't know.
Hmm.
Um, I think I just enjoy what I'm doing now. Teaching and I mean, I actually do a lot of mastering of audio more
Oh,
than
really?
production or anything like that.
Okay.
I get quite a few people that find out that I master and they'll
Oh,
like, hey, can you
shoot.
master this track for me? And I'm like, sure, and they
Huh.
and
I
I
would
have a
love to.
couple of people that just all of a sudden my PayPal or my Venmo will say, you now have money.
Okay.
Someone transferred money, and that usually means, oh, they're about to text me that they're sending me an
Oh,
audio file that they want me to
well,
master.
that's good. That's
And
convenient.
so,
Nice. I would, man. That's maybe for another time, but I'd love to talk about mastering. Uh,
oh yeah,
I
for
find
sure.
myself
Yeah, we can
needing to
talk about
do
that.
more of that, and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm getting to a point now. You and I talked a little bit about this yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm approaching 50. The half century mark, and so I'm starting to evaluate my accomplishments, and then starting to get a little more realistic about what are the things that I haven't done that I'd like to get done. Because obviously I'm not going to die when I turn 50. I hope, right?
Okay.
Knock on
No.
wood. But
Yeah.
it's definitely a mile marker, and you
Hmm.
go, okay, I'm this far into it. What can what are the things that I wanted to do? What's realistic now that I could still have time to accomplish?
Mm-hmm.
So I still enjoy recording and producing music, and I love working with musicians, with songwriters. The studio is still definitely my happy place.
Okay.
I do
Yeah.
love recording. I love just the getting different creative personalities together. And then we're all just kind of throwing ideas, on the table, and we try
Mm.
everything, and we just pick the thing that works the best. And it's still a bit magical to me. So I haven't lost that
Mm.
um the I don't know, the awe, the fascination of the
Yeah.
magic of what happens in the studio, what potentially could happen. So I still love that. So I still want to keep working and recording and producing music for artists. I still want to do that. I don't think I
Hmm.
could not do that.
Do you
Uh, but there are other things. I mean, you and I discussed. There for a while, I had this desire to write a script for a
yeah,
movie
yeah.
or a TV show or something, and so screenwriting is uh, is definitely something I'd like to dabble in.
Yeah. We didn't
Um,
talk about it at all, but you have like a big passion for movies and narrative and
yes,
um
yeah, that's yes.
you're
Oh yeah,
even
yeah.
you're even
Just
supporting
writing,
uh
yeah,
sup-
storytelling, writing is really I'm really fascinated by that. And yeah, and you mentioned yeah, you said a lot of people because we're now um, quarantined or whatever,
uh-huh.
we're having to
Yeah.
stay at home, and
Yeah, yeah.
I think like you said, it was a lot of people are now going, oh, what are the other things that I like to do? What are the
Uh-huh.
things that I put on the back burner, and now I might actually have time to give them a little more
Yeah.
attention.
Way more memoirs will be coming
So
out the next month.
yeah, yeah, I was gonna say you're gonna see memoirs, you're gonna see books for sure.
Uh-huh.
People are gonna
So I
maybe
finally
recipe
did.
books or
Yeah.
how to survive a pandemic book
Oh,
or
nice. Yeah, yeah.
with your children or
Oh
something.
gosh.
And so yeah, so I
Man.
think for me this situation coinciding, like I said, with the fact that I'm approaching 50 in the next year and a half, uh, that I'm definitely thinking about what's the future. So I
Hmm.
think, music, as far as the future of music, want to bring it back to that is,
Yeah.
um, I don't really know. I'm not really concerned because I was worried that once streaming became available, that
Hmm.
people's passion for music would dilute. It wouldn't be,
Hmm.
it wouldn't be as good. The quality would drop a little bit because now everyone has access to be able to put their
Yeah.
music up on streaming platforms or whatever, or that people just because people aren't going to buy music, that music is somehow
Hmm.
going to become less. And
Yeah, people
I don't
will.
really see that. Actually, people, like you said, I think people are still very fascinated by live performances. I
Hmm.
think people
Yeah.
still love to go sit in a room and watch a bunch of people make sounds together.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know
yeah. It's a
that
magic.
are pleasing
It's a total magic.
to our ears. It goes back to that. So I think music will always be a viable career
Hmm. Yeah.
because we could only take so much of our computer screen and our phone
I
screen.
know. Yeah. I think
Eventually you just
we'll have like a much stronger sense of how that is how it's detrimental to us, how it hurts our health.
yes,
We'll
yeah,
test
for
the limit of
sure.
that, everybody.
Yeah.
Can I?
I think, yeah, once we can gather again, um, I like to
Hmm.
think that we're actually probably going to have people packing out live performance venues, and
Yeah,
movie
yeah.
theaters,
I know.
and
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, if you just
you
hold
know,
on, that like they'll
because
people will just just absolutely gather.
yeah,
The
because they're going to
post
be like, I'm
Corona.
tired of my house, I'm tired of the park, I'm tired of my backyard. I want to go somewhere
just
where I can stand in the middle of a group of people that I don't know, yeah,
and experience something
and
with
be
them.
happy. Yeah, and be very happy. So
I have a burning
so
question from something you brought up. You're talking about maintaining the passion and the magic of recording, but also the like payment of that thing. And so I've been running this in my head, like how to operate negotiations because I want to um yeah, I want people I want to like pay people for their skills in this in this realm. But like
yeah.
how to negotiate. Like so how do you determine the amount of money that will make you happy to do a certain project?
Oh, that's a great question. Um, well, as far as recording and producing, I mean, there's the business side of things, right?
Okay.
So what I try to do is, I have a day job, so my recording and producing is not what pays my bills,
Okay.
right? It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
it's additional money that
Fuels
I
the
could
passion.
use, toward, yeah. So it's not a priority for me to hustle studio work. That being said, I what I do is I try. It's really, I'm gonna the cop out is it's on a per project basis, but the reality is that if it's someone that's near and dear to me, like we're old friends or whatever, or
Hmm.
we work together in some other form or fashion, then I tend to I guess give them a discount, I
Okay.
guess, as far as
Yeah, a
how much I charge for my services.
social capital that they
But
have.
outside of that, and I think I'm gonna guess probably everybody else kind of does that. If because you're gonna have your pet projects that you're like, I would
Hmm.
totally do this for free, but I really shouldn't. So I'm not, but I'm gonna give you a heck of a discount.
Okay. That's an
But
interesting point. Like not doing for free, but practically free
yes, yeah,
is
or
the
for some kind of
distinction.
trading of some other service,
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Um, so like,
Hmm.
yeah, and but on the flip side of that, I would say I try not to. I don't want to undercut other studios,
Hmm.
engineers, and producers in my market. So
Okay.
I want to be in line with what their prices are.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Because I
yeah.
don't
Not in like
because just
let's all try to make as much money as possible, but in the like this is what it is. Like
yeah.
this is what
So
time
just
is to do this and
yeah, because
yeah.
like I said, I'm not depending on this for my livelihood. So I don't want to undercut someone else's livelihood. Does that make sense?
Do you
They're
regularly check with people's rates or like
oh yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
do you call them up or like do you or is this something that's displayed? I usually don't see displayed amounts for studios, I don't
Right,
think.
yeah. It's usually there's in the studio world, there's hourly, and then there's like you can book blocks or days in the
Okay.
studio.
Yeah, yeah.
The other option is per song, so that way you don't worry about time as much.
Okay.
So I've seen quite a few
Interesting.
different numbers. Like I said, hourly and day rates are the most common, I would
Okay.
say. So I think last time I checked in the Lubbock area, I want to say it's probably somewhere around 60-65 bucks an hour maybe for studio time. Um, the last time I checked, it's been a while, so
Okay.
I haven't checked
Yeah, yeah.
lately to see
Because that's having the
what my
space and that's having the
my
engineer there
peers
and
around town are charging. So that's an hour rate, and then if they do block rates, they usually take another 5 or 10 bucks off that hour, and then that's what they charge for like a 4 hour or 8 hour or 10 hour block. So
okay.
um,
This is
and
this is as dry as this
go
is.
ahead.
This is great. This is so
Yeah,
practical and awesome. I've been trying to think about it for myself because
yeah,
I've come to start to think
yeah.
about my like how I charge something as like a day or half a day. And so when somebody asks me for something, it's like, okay, is that about a day's work? It's like, okay, well,
Right.
I can make this amount of money on a given day. So it's like I kind of like I have a certain number of what my day is. Um,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
because of like an opportunity cost or like just a comparison of like what I found the value of my time is for other places. And then
yeah.
if it's something that's like half a
Yeah,
day,
I mean
I'll
that's
do
the
a
thing you
little
have to
more than
realize
half
on
or
that.
yeah.
If you're someone's charging 60 or 65 bucks an hour, they're thinking they're paying that's for the engineer, and then obviously they're paying electricity, right, for their
Electricity,
equipment.
it's almost like equipment rental. Yeah, that's like a space. Yeah, like
Yeah,
that doesn't seem
so
wild to me.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, that's the thing that what you're paying for is basically the expertise, the equipment, and the location. The acoustics of the room. So you know, and so that's kind of, it gives you a good kind of barometer to kind of go, do I have something that compares to that? Yes, then I can charge something that compares to that. Do I have something better than that? Well, then I can charge more. Do I have something less than that? Well, then I should charge less.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's the quality of your facilities, or what are we talking about? That being said, again, I'm preparing students for this. I tell them, get in the habit of charging people for your work. you know Sometimes it can
Okay.
get really easy to go, well, it's my friend, so I'm just going to record them for nothing or whatever.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
tell them,
I
at
get
the very least, make them buy you a pizza or something.
okay.
Especially when you're a student, food is
Yeah. It's
can
the most
sometimes be
important.
currency.
Yeah.
So
Get in the habit
uh,
of uh having
yeah,
your pins
I mean,
pray.
yeah,
That's what, yeah, I guess I see. So full disclosure, I think maybe the stream is having issues. Um but I kind of want to talk about this anyways. Um
yeah,
I see for my own kind of network of musicians that I'm kind of growing, I want to build I want this to be kind of clear. Like I don't want there to be a lot of favors going on. Like I don't want there to be
sure,
it's
yeah,
like it's like everybody has a different talent and you can pay them for that talent to help you create
yes,
content that makes you available online, which is like what if you have Patreon investors, like that's what they want is to see more of you.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and so like teaming up with people to make
yeah,
more
for
things
sure.
faster is like it's kind of a no brainer. But like yeah, I want to set a precedence of like no, it's like yeah, it's like ask for something. That's good. I think that's right. It doesn't necessarily have to be 100% of what it is or 100% of what the value is, but like starting with a little something like a habit of it's like okay, it's like cool, I'll do
Yeah,
this, but
yeah.
you gotta
Make sure,
send
yeah,
me this.
don't. Yeah, you definitely, that's the other thing. I mean, musicians in studios too. That's the other thing. Like, if I charge 50 or $60 an hour for me to be here and use my studio and record somebody, then if they need a musician, that's the other thing. I have a list of musicians that I can say, well, I know a really good bass player, and I talk to them, to the musicians, and I go, hey, they this I have someone coming in, they may need a bass player. How much would you charge an hour to come over?
Yeah.
And play on this session, and then they'll tell me whatever it is. And it's usually about the same. It's usually actually, for most
Hmm.
musicians, it's usually about 50 or $60 an hour, and a lot of times they're like minimum 2 hours, so that they know they at least made $100
Okay.
for driving across town or whatever,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
playing. And but that
Okay. Yeah.
that cost is on top of me, right? So I tell the client, I
Mm,
said, well, I know a bass player, and they can come over for $100. They can hang out for 2 hours, and play on whatever you need them to play. And I let the client then pays them, kind of thing. Or I tell them, you can pay me, and I'll turn around and pass that to them, if you just want to pay everything at once. So that's to me, that's where the other cool part comes in, because I have musician friends, that that
yeah.
enjoy coming over and working, because they're like, they know me, they know my space, they know that if I'm calling them, it's going to be something that's going to be worth their while,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So
That's
there's that
cool.
other,
Yeah,
you
you
know,
get to you can kind of pass that love and kind of really
yeah,
snowball, or you can be
so
that
yeah,
link that connects people
yeah, and that's,
that need.
I love that. I just, because I have musicians that are friends, that are great, and I'd say, hey, it's like, hey, I need you to come over, they'll, and for this, or whatever, and they'll come over, and I get them a little bit of money too. It's just kind of nice when it's like, everyone kind of is participating and everyone gets something out of it, whether it's money or a product. It's really, especially in the creative industry like music.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, thank you.
Yeah,
That
man.
that like that's some yeah like that's some good clarification. Here, let me
Good, good.
let's get us off of the like maybe we're streaming, maybe we're not zone here. I'm going to,
Yeah.
yeah. So this has been a Homecast. Visit HOWMbase.com. That's homebase.com to find all the links of the musicians I work with and links to guests of the podcast and stream. Thank you, Dolph, for being
You're very welcome, Ben.
here. Okay. Thank you. Goodbye, stream.